Developing a video game is without a doubt a very demanding task. It takes years of dedication and hard work, not to mention the knowledge it implements on its developers. That's why working with a good gaming engine will save you months of work and optimization. AAA video games development studios mostly prefer to develop their games using self-designed game engines. However, even with the number of these companies continues to increase every year, experts predict indie games production to stretch wildly to top the gaming pyramid in the future. Yes, we have to say that the majority of games nowadays are being developed by gigantic studios such as Rockstar Games, Naughty Dog, and Microsoft Studios. But nevertheless, indie games companies are playing a massive role in the market. We can see that in amazing titles like Disco Elysium, Firewatch, Cuphead, and Hades, which made a huge impact when it came out last year and managed to win a handful of prizes along the way. Perhaps the two most famous and free developing engines out there are Unity and Unreal Engine, but recently, this last one managed to steal the lights as it became the most researched and downloadable engine on the internet. And that is due to the huge leap forward that Epic Games took in the gaming industry, offering us new technologies that producers all over the world dreamed of having, like Lumen, the new global illumination system, and Nanite, that lets you use millions and millions of polygons in one scene without having to worry about the cost when it comes to optimization. Hence, why we're seeing major companies such as CD Projekt Red, developers of the Witcher series and Cyberpunk, abandon their self-made engine, Red Engine, and switching over to Unreal Engine 5. But with all of that being said, is the real engine actually good for beginners? Unreal Engine has some sort of a bad reputation surrounding its learning curve. A lot of rumors out there lay down the engine has to be extremely difficult for beginners. And to be honest, this is the idea that any 3D noob will face when he'll set his eyes on the stunning graphics that the engine produces. So it's very easy to assume that such high-end renderings and cinematics will be hard to achieve and get used to. Yet this idea is starting to gradually disappear by the day. To start with, Unreal Engine projects now build with all the prerequisites in place. You really don't have to do anything a beginner would not understand. If we're talking about coding or programming, which is without a doubt the most annoying and difficult thing that a beginner would face, Epic Games is gradually replacing all the hard work such as a task requires with blueprints. And as a beginner, you'll usually aim for an indie game. And blueprints have become so advanced that such scale of games would be entirely done without even have to write a single code. Another thing is that Unreal Engine has become so popular in the last 18 months or so that you will find thousands of tutorials all over the internet. You can even find tens of them for free just by hopping over to the Real Engine official website. And most of them will probably get the job done for someone who is just starting to learn about the engine. Not to mention the hundreds of documents that will explain every little detail in Unreal Engine. So the learning curve will actually depend on your will to learn the software and how much time you are actually preparing to sacrifice in order to master the craft. There is also something else that beginners might find really handy in Unreal Engine. There are so many tools available for you from the get-go. For example, if you're making a game from a third-person perspective, Epic Games already gives you the template for this kind of games. They give you a character that moves already. It has physics detection, you can change this movement speed, his jumping parameters, so you have to bear in mind that Unreal Engine has a lot of scripts and classes integrated within. That helps you so much as a beginner. Furthermore, the Unreal Engine has amazing built-in graphics, which means that you don't really have to be an expert in graphic design, or a lighting specialist, or even have a lot of skills when it comes to texturing. To obtain a visually decent looking game, especially with the new version of the engine that is UE5, and Lumen, the new GI system that we have mentioned earlier, all you have to do is to use the actors and scripts integrated in the engine in order for you to achieve very pleasant visuals. Okay, let us say that a small group of people started using the engine for a short period of time. Can they start creating their own indie game within a short run using Unreal Engine? To answer this question, we first need to understand the development process of a video game. Number 1. Pre-production. It is here where ideas are gathered. The first concept arts are made, and the design process and requirements of the game are adjusted. Number 2. Production. This is the most important part of the development, and the majority of game design is made during this step. Not to mention that this is usually the longest phase in the game development process. Number 3. Post-production. It is here where the game is being tested, bugs are being fixed, and maybe some additional content is being thrown into the game as well. Unreal Engine offers some amazing tools and instruments for beginners to start with. For example, in the pre-production phase, users can just open Quixel Bridge and start messing around with all the assets that are available for free for them in order to get all the kinds of sketches and different concepts arts for the game, without even having to learn how to do all the modeling and texturing. Not to mention that you can also get tons of ready-made models in the Unreal Engine marketplace, which sometimes comes at a very reasonable price. And to see the real power of these ready-made assets, check out 90 Days in Unreal Engine 5 video to understand how far can you go inside the engine without even having to model and texture a single thing. Just grab some assets, change their scale, rotate them, move them around, change the composition, and you have got yourself a good sketch ready to be used as references for your production phase. In the second phase, you're going to enhance the environments that you first created in the engine. And most importantly, you're going to start using blueprints and scripts already integrated into Unreal Engine. You can use more advanced assets that are optimized for the engine, like Kit Bash assets for example, that are professional and help you a lot building your own environments and designs. You will also use Niagara particle system, which is also auto-included in the engine, to start creating visual effects such as storms, fires, rain, fog, snow, and smoke, just to name a few. And using Lumen, you won't have to wait for any renderings to finish. You can test and adjust your lights in real time, the thing that you will benefit greatly from during the production phase. Okay, let us agree that the post-production phase is probably the most tiresome during the process. You have to be very patient in testing the workflow of the game. It is very technical and requires a lot of skills to be able to launch a fully optimized game without any problems. Yet, even here, as an Unreal Engine user, you will have the advantages of using Nanite, a miraculous invention integrated in the Unreal Engine 5 that lets the developers use as many polygons as they want. To see this awesome technology in action, I would recommend checking out the GS Films channel, where he used Megascan's assets to include more than 50 billion polygons in one scene without his RTX 3090 exploding into little pieces. Obviously, there is always a loophole in every software that exists. It's true that the engine is free, but I would say that the biggest downside of Unreal Engine 5 is that it's a very greedy engine. You will have to set up a real powerful PC if you want to get the best out of all the possibilities that we talked about above. And as a beginner, an open bridge isn't really something that everyone can afford, especially if we're talking about a group of 10 people who are willing to start an indie project in Unreal Engine 5. This would definitely cost a fortune. Overall, I would definitely recommend Unreal Engine for everyone who is willing to dive into the world of video games creation, especially after what we are seeing from different big gaming companies switching over into Unreal Engine 5. And all the stats showing that within the upcoming years, it will be the most demanded engine out there.